Hey guys, Lee with LG Speed and Custom, and in this video we are going drag racing with my Model A Roadster. Next weekend is the Langley Loafers Old Time Drags at Mission Raceway in Mission, BC, and we're going to take the Roadster and race it. But before we do that, there's a couple things we need to do. It has no coolant overflow reservoir, so we got this old Pepsi can that I found over there. We're going to hook that up as a coolant reservoir. It currently has a glass fuel filter on it, which that's no bueno for tech, so we've got a not glass fuel filter to put on. And we're also going to put a choke cable on it, because in the 13 years that I've had this car on the road, I've never ever hooked the choke up, and it needs the choke to start. I've always just reached, opened the door, starter button, choke, made it work. But if for whatever reason this does not want to start in the staging lanes while I'm all belted in or something, that's not going to be very convenient. So I just ran over to see Chris and got just a cheap universal choke cable. It's probably not a long-term thing for this. I'd like to put something a little more period correct in it, but for now, this will work. So for the beginning of this video, we're gonna just do a couple little things on the Roadster here to get it all up to snuff so it'll pass tech. Then we're gonna load it up with brown sugar, and on today's Friday, on Thursday, so in 6 days from now, we are gonna load it up and haul it all the way to Mission, BC with brown sugar. So let's get into it. One of the first things we're gonna do is hook up this choke cable. It is way too long for what we need, so what I've done is mocked it up. This is the original choke location for a Model A, just if you were curious about that. So I've done a quick little mock-up on it here and got it kind of running where I want to run it. So now we're just going to trim this and figure out some sort of mounting bracket. Okay, so I'm thinking probably to start, maybe we'll cut the sheath right about here. Yeah, that should be okay. We'll start with that. Oh yeah. Okay, and then our cable, we'll leave it a little bit long for now. Let's try that. Okay, that's sitting in there. Over on this end, we've got choke. So it's not the best, but it'll work for now. Let's do a test. Fuel on, ignition on. Oh, I never thought of this. My hands get jumbled up now. Cool, well that'll work. It's a little bit awkward with the start button in the middle and the choke cable over there, but it's not as awkward as having to lean over the windshield. All right, moving along to the overflow. I was gonna use this Pepsi can, and I started reading the rule book, and it says it has to be a minimum of 16 ounces. And this is only 8 ounces. But I've got this Bardol can, says right there, 16 fluid ounces. So we're gonna use that. I'm thinking I will use one of these stainless zip ties. Just kind of go around it like that. There is a hole in the grill shell right here, which I think was probably for the welting. So we'll use that. We gotta oblong it out a little bit just to get it big enough that this will actually slide through. And then we should be able to secure it with that. It's so close to fitting. We'll just open it up a tiny bit. That should be enough. Beautiful. All right. Our 16-ounce overflow is securely attached. We've got our line running down. Another thing it says in the rule book is you can't have coolant on the track, just straight water. So we're draining the radiator right now. We'll drain all the coolant out and then just fill it up with regular water. While the coolant system was draining, I thought I'd get started on this fuel filter. And I went and read the rule book, and this fuel filter won't pass tech either. It's just the plastic see-through one. I like the see-through ones because that way you can actually see what's in it. So we're going back to this parts store to get a steel one. And we're gonna go to the parts store with Andy G. Andy G's Garage is in town visiting us with his 55 Pontiac.
With my busted ass shifter.
With his busted ass shifter. He's been having shifter problems on this trip. We're back from the store with the correct fuel filter. This is a steel one. So NHRA rules say that you can't have a glass or plastic fuel filter, and your fuel system has to have less than 6 inches of rubber hose. And we've got a little bit more. I think we're about 10 inches here. So we're gonna undo this from our shutoff valve here. This is all brass from there. And then we've got a hard line in here. So we're gonna take this out and redo it so that we've got less than 6 inches and a steel NHRA approved fuel filter. Fuel system's done. The coolant is all drained. So we got the garden hose out here now. Let's crack the valve on this. It's probably just gonna shoot right out of the radiator. We'll go slow here. Is it coming out? Oh yeah, we're good.
I just held on to it because I didn't want to go flying all over.
Andy G's on it. Yesterday, Andy and I got the coolant all drained out and it filled back up with just straight water so that if it leaks on the track, it doesn't make a huge mess. When I was reading through the rule book on that 16-ounce can, I noticed a couple other things that we got to do on this. One of them is the battery cutoff switch. It states in the rules that if you relocate the battery to the trunk, which I have done, the battery needs to be in a vented box, which it is, with a battery disconnect switch at the rear of the vehicle. Well, I've got a disconnect switch right here. And, you know, that's kind of the rear of the vehicle, but I think that they mean at the back of the vehicle. So, rather than relocate the switch to the back of the vehicle, which would include having to redo all the battery cables, because right now the battery is here and the switch is here, so they're not gonna reach, what I have come up with is I'm gonna take this cable and I'm gonna mount this at the rear of the vehicle so that when you pull on the cable, it doesn't want to pull right now, but whatever, it pulls. When you pull on the cable, it will pull on the top of this cutoff switch and shut it off. Just bring you in here so that you can see. Here's the shut-off switch right here. So straight up and down, that is power connected. That is power disconnected. So if we drill a little hole through here and run that cable through, when we pull on it, it should push that back, or pull that back, I guess. That's what we're gonna work on next. This cable's already got a little bracket on it, so we're gonna mount the bracket probably right about there. I'm gonna put another screw right here with a little Adele clamp just to hold the cable. And now we can figure out where we got to cut our sheath. Okay, so if that's where our cable sits in the on position, in the off position, it'll be about there. So if we cut our sheath kind of like right there, that should give us a little bit of wiggle room. I think we'll be okay. We'll cut our sheath there and we'll take this switch off and drill a hole through here for the cable end to go through. I think we got to cut this end off down here too. It's got a sharp bend in it and the cable won't slide off. Thanks to Rick for this cable, Rick Montgomery. He donated this back when we were doing the Cummins swap on brown sugar. Before I decided to wire up the fuel shutoff solenoid, I was just going to have just a push-pull cable. So he brought these over to make that happen. When I say these, there's two of them, but this one was plain. The other one says overdrive on it. So I decided to put the plain handle one on just so that I don't confuse anybody at the racetrack. This little on-off switch is just held on with a little Phillips screw. So now we can take this piece over to the bench and we're just going to drill a hole through it. Ooh, that's not held in there very tight, is it? I don't want to clamp it too tight because it's just, I don't know if it's aluminum or pot metal, but I don't want to break it. We've got our hole drilled and I slid the cable through. Now I'm going to take this guy here and slide that on there and then, oh, this screw is bottomed all the way out in there. I might have to put this in the bench vise first. Yep, hold on. Okay, we got it loose now. For those of you that watched the video where we put the Amazon Holly 94 on my 47 and we had to change the little choke end, this is the one off of that carburetor, so we're reusing it. Okay, let's tighten that up. Super tight. Okay, before I cut this off, I want to make sure this works. I'm going to go to the back of the car right now and pull on it. You guys watch this end and let me know what happens. Did it go? Oh yeah. So if I put another one on, it might push back, but I doubt it would. It might flex. but it doesn't matter. We can just reset it this way because it's only for emergency purposes. The only reason that is there is that if I crash on the track or something, the emergency crew running up behind can shut the car off if it's still running. So I think we can take our zip disc now and we'll scooch that off of there. All right, shall we start the car and see if it'll actually shut it off? Fire it up. Nope. Oh, you know why? I know why. Because when you disconnect it, it just runs off the generator. Might have to do some plan B in on this. Okay, take two. Works now. You know what I did? I just unhooked the generator wire. So we'll do that when we get to the track. We'll just unhook the generator. Because the other way to make it work is I got to run my charge wire off the voltage regulator. Would have to come all the way to the disconnect switch as well. And you can't. My other thought was we could just hook it up to the negative side of the battery, but NHRA rules say it has to be on the positive side of the battery. So that should work. The last part. We got our one-shot paint out. Pull. Off. There we go. Done. Okay, so the last thing on our list to pass tech is we need a neutral safety switch, which I was a little bit hesitant about because I really like not having one, even though they're not, you know, safety and stuff. It's really nice when you're working on the car to be able to just reach over the windshield and hit the starter button. But if we gotta have one, we gotta have one. So to make it work with the 39 pedal assembly, I am going to get this is a like 55, 56, 57 Chevy truck brake light switch. And I'm gonna mount that on the floor, under the car, and the clutch pedal will sit on this. And then when you step on the clutch and it moves away, the switch will open and complete the circuit, which will allow the car to start. So we're gonna order one of those tomorrow because it is 9 o'clock at night and there's no parts stores open. So we'll see you tomorrow. We've got our switch. So like I mentioned earlier, this is a brake light switch off of a 55, 56, 57 Chevy truck. And how this works is this on the truck screws to the floorboard and your brake pedal will sit like this. When you step on the brakes and the pedal goes down, the switch opens up and completes the circuit, which makes your brake lights come on. So what we're gonna do is use this for the starter button. We're gonna have a wire go from the battery post on the solenoid, like the battery side of the solenoid, to one side of the button, then out of the other side of the button to here. It'll come out of here and go back to the solenoid. And what that does is when you step on the button, the circuit will go through the button and then to here. Then when this opens, it goes through here and back to the solenoid, completing the circuit and making the car crank. So we're gonna go underneath and find a spot on the floorboards and mount this. Okay, we're underneath the car now. Here's the steering box here, frame rail, and this is screwed to the floor, and here's our clutch arm. Shannon's inside the car. You wanna step on the clutch? Look at that. Again? That works perfect. All right, let's wire it up. So as you can see under my dash here, this entire car is wired with cloth covered wiring. Although on this side, it's getting pretty faded because it's 13 years old now. So we're not gonna skimp out on that, and we're gonna wire the starter button up with more cloth covered wiring. The neutral safety switch uses, can we see them? Can we see them? Yeah, it uses like bullet style connectors. So I just put some of those on the end of our wire, and then I put some black shrink tube on just to kind of make it not look ugly. I really hate those plastic insulated things. Usually I take them right off, but on bullet connectors, it's kind of, they work better when they're on. So we'll put some shrink tube on. It'll be fine. Nobody will ever see down in there. And if they do, when they're looking, when they're bent over looking, I'm gonna kick them right in the ass. Okay, our switch is all wired up. I put a little clamp up here just so that these wires don't ever get tangled in the brake pedal there. From there, they just run along the firewall and then they go in. I've got a hole there where my oil pressure lines and thermostat line, or not thermostat, temperature sender cables go through. From the inside, it runs up and then through this original Model A wiring tunnel. This guy here goes over to the power off the back of the ignition switch here. This one goes to the bullet, and then this one goes to the solenoid. Let's see if it works. Okay, push the button, nothing. Push the clutch in. Cool, done. It's on. Well, you get the idea. Okay, foot off the clutch. Nothing. Perfect. I think everything's done. I think we're officially NHRA certified. I dug the lap belts out from underneath the seat. We've got our Snell helmet. All that's left to do now is load it up. Well, now is the part that I've been dreading the most about this whole trip, and that is unloading the trailer. Because this trailer, when we're not going to Bonneville, or in this case, racing, drag racing, this trailer is basically like my storage container, my sea can. So it is just full of stuff. There's 390, well, I'll just show you guys. We've got the 390 C6 out of brown sugar. We've got the roof rack deal that was on the 47 when we were putting the Cummins in brown sugar. I've got a rotisserie over here. I've got an LS over there. A couple bicycles. The front, I kind of cleaned out, started cleaning out already. I've got a bunch of 32 Ford parts on a pallet over there. But back here, we still have Shannon's Lambretta. I've got a little Vespa Allstate back there, and all my 32 Ford fenders. So I'm gonna clean all this stuff out. You guys don't have to watch that. And then we can load the car up. And on the note of loading the car up, because I know somebody's gonna say it, there always is. We were on the road last year for over 3 weeks when we went to Hot Rodorama, Bonneville Salt Flats, and then over to Make It Custom to pick up the 32 Ford. And we used my trailer and brown sugar, my 72 Ford crew cab dually that is being repowered with a 12 valve Cummins. So we were on the road for like 3 weeks, all over Canada and the US, and there was somebody that was all like, oh, you didn't drive your Roadster to Bonneville? I thought you were hardcore. Dude, we were on the road for 3 weeks in the middle of summer. As for this weekend though, you know what? We totally could drive the Roadster there. It's only 4 hours to get to Mission Raceway from here, and 2 hours of that is on a ferry. So it's only 2 hours of actual drive time. Totally doable. In fact, we were going to do that until we discovered that hotels in Mission, for some reason, are like $300, $350, some were $400 a night, and we're there for 3 nights. That's $1,200 in hotels. I don't think so. I'm not into that. I can't afford that. But if we bring the trailer, we can camp in the trailer at the racetrack for all 3 nights that we were there and save a pile of money. So that's the reason why we're trailering a car over. It's not because we don't want to drive the car, it's because we need somewhere to stay while we're there. Also, I don't have a baby seat for Lux to ride in the Roadster, and Shannon, Lux, and myself in this thing, even if it is only 2 hours, that's a lot for a 2-month-old kid. He's not that hardcore yet. Trailer's all cleaned out. Gonna put the Roadster in, call it a night. And then tomorrow we can load all our camping stuff and hit the road. I think we're ready to make some miles now. So the Roadster goes in the very back, as you can see. And then above the Roadster, we've got a bed frame there with an air mattress. So we got somewhere to sleep. We got Shannon's rocking chair so that Lux can get rocked to sleep. We've got all our LG Speed and Custom merch. So if you see us at the drags, make sure to grab a shirt. Or if you're watching on YouTube right now, go to lgspeedcustom.com and get yourself a shirt. Much appreciated. Really appreciate the support. All right, back to this. We got our food. Those are tools and parts that we need. Brake clean, so much brake clean, all the brake clean. Food, camping supplies, stroller, Jim and Vanessa's camping supplies. Let's make some miles. We got about a 45-minute drive to the ferry, 2-hour ferry ride, and then it's an hour and 20 minutes from the ferry to Mission Raceway. So we should be getting there, I don't know, around 9 o'clock, 9:30 tonight. We have made it. So we're gonna camp here tonight, and then tomorrow morning, Test and Tune starts. All right, we just got back from tech inspection, and we passed all that stuff that I thrashed on this week to get done. They didn't check any of it. So that's the way tech always goes. If I didn't fix any of that stuff, they would have checked it for sure, but we're good to go. Racing starts in about 45 minutes. Or not racing, Test and Tune starts in 45 minutes.
All right, we made our first pass. It was a 16.3, which is pretty good for what I was expecting. But we had some throttle linkage issues. I'm still having issues getting full throttle. I've been messing around with it, and I got it close. I can get 3/4 throttle on all 3 carburetors. But the issue I was having was it didn't come back down, and it was stuck at like 2,000 RPM, which isn't a big deal. You just push the clutch in. And so we got that fixed now. Let's go make another pass and see what it'll do this time. Well, that went worse. It was a little too hard on the launch, as you could see by how bad the camera was shaking. The whole car was shaking as we had some wheel hop, and then it was kind of breaking up a little bit. It's not idling very happy at all. 3 carburetors are dumb. There's a reason why people put 4 barrels on real race cars. So I'm gonna mess around with it a little bit more, and then we'll do another run. Last run, I unhooked the progressive linkage and just ran on the center carburetor because I've been having problems starting it. It's just flooding. And it started easier, but again, we ran another 17.4. So I've just hooked them back up again. We'll try it one more time and see what happens. Today is all just about testing, so. We'll tighten this guy right there, go for a run.
Back barrel, and they're pretty happy with the way it's running, but they're looking.
Okay, well that was the worst run yet. Now, I don't know if that's because it is really, really, really hot and we got hung up in the staging lanes and I sat there idling forever and ever and ever. I didn't want to shut the car off because, like I said, I've been having a hard time getting it to start. It wants to just flood out. And we're still not getting full throttle. So when it is flooding, like, you can't hold it wide open throttle. And I don't know if it's going to get any better with this linkage setup that I have. I'm not going to lie, it's very, very hokey. It was an afterthought 13 years ago when I got this car running. I went to go for like its maiden voyage. I realized I didn't have a gas pedal, so I quickly bent that up. It's supposed to be a temporary thing, and it's been like that forever. And what's happening is that rod is flexing and it's not giving me full throttle. So I've got another, like a proper throttle pedal for it now, but I was gonna hook it up to a cable so that instead of pulling on this side, because I'm scared I'm gonna twist my throttle shafts, it will pull on this side where all the progressive linkage is. And that should solve the problem. Unfortunately, we didn't get that part before we came here, so I think we're just gonna have to kind of live with it the way it is for the rest of the event.
55 Chevy Bel Air here on the
Well, I'm walking from the staging lanes back to our pit. With the last run of the day, I ran out of gas in the staging lanes.
David Sitton goes 13.
And my pit crew is all at A&W right now, sitting in the air conditioning. So I'm walking back to get the jerry can. I'm going to hit a gas station, I guess.
Good morning. We're on day 2 now. Full of gas. Went to the gas station yesterday. Thank you to Richard, who helped me push the car out of the staging lanes and helped out while I was out of gas. Huge help. I've come up with an idea for this throttle. It's probably not NHRA approved, but we're going to do it anyways. We've got the old string. I have tied a piece of string around our throttle linkage here that comes back into the car. Big loop on it to go around my wrist, and then I can grab the shifter, shift gears, and get that last little bit of full throttle. So we're just going into test and tune now. So we'll try it out and see what happens. Hopefully it works better.
Okay, that didn't go so bad. Ran a 1677, so not the fastest it's gone, but you know, we're back in the 16s again. Highest mile per hour we've ever had, 79, I think it was 79 miles an hour. So the little hand throttle thing, I think it works. And more importantly, the car started easy in the staging lanes, which is what was really stressing me out. So I think we're on to something here. Okay, well that run went way better. We did a personal best on ET and mile per hour. 1644 is the quickest we've gone in this car, and we finally hit 80 miles per hour. So I think our little twine thing is working. We're just gonna keep going with this for the rest of the day. We're also not the slowest car on the property anymore, which is a win.
We didn't get a time slip on that run, but Shannon said it ran at 16.9, so it slowed down about half a second. I don't know if that's because I did something different or it's late in the afternoon now and it's gotten quite hot and very muggy out, so that will definitely affect times as well. Either way, it's fine. We might get one more run today. We've had today's qualifying. We've had 3 qualifying runs. We might get one more. If not, then tomorrow we'll start over again with 1 qualifying run in the morning and then straight into eliminations after that. Okay, we're back in the 16.4s again. It's cooled down a bit, so I think that's maybe why we had that slower run midday, is it was just so hot and humid out. Now that it's cooler, it's running good again. So if we can, I think right now, rather than trying to focus on making it going faster, I'm just going to focus on consistency. I also stopped at the scales and weighed this thing, and it is 2,050 pounds, which is a little heavier than I thought it was, but it's still pretty light. Good morning. We are on day 3. Today is Sunday, race day. So we're going to get 1 qualifying run in the morning, and then we're going straight into eliminations. It's a bracket racing setup, which is where you dial in, each person dials in, whoever runs closest to their number wins. So we're going to have some breakfast and coffee real quick and then get started.
Been around a while.
16:37, so that's our quickest time yet, and still pretty consistent with our 16:44 and our 16:45. So it's going to get hotter throughout the day, so I think we'll probably dial in at maybe like a 16:35. That should give us a little bit of wiggle room. But yeah, good run. I'm happy about that. So I chose to dial it in at a 1634. I thought it was going to get hotter, which generally the hotter air, hotter temperature makes the car go a little bit slower, but it's kind of about the same temperature as it was before. And I've been watching a bunch of other people run, like Ryan behind us, for example. He dialed in at an 1190 and ran an 1179, so he went quite a bit quicker. Terry Denemy from Canadian Hot Rods, his little pickup truck, he dialed in at a 17 flat. That's what he ran last time, was a 17 flat, and he ran a 1704, which is really close. So we ran a 1737 was our best, so I'm going to dial in at a 1634. So for those that aren't familiar with bracket racing and dial-ins, how it works is it's kind of a way to even out the playing field. I mean, my car, obviously running a 1940s style flathead, there's no way it can compete with, the other cars in my class that are all running modern drivetrains. They're way faster than me. So we're dialed in at a 16.34. Just for ease of explanation, we'll just round it up to just straight, even numbers. Pretend we dialed in at a 16.00, and the car that we're racing dialed in at a 14.00, meaning they think their car is going to run 14.0 seconds. I think my car is going to run 16.0 seconds. When the lights come down, I will get a 2-second head start, so that in theory, if I run my 16 flat and they run their 14 flat, we'll cross the finish line at the exact same time. And it's a way of evening out the playing field. The catch, if I dial in at a 16 flat and I run a 15.99, I'm disqualified because I went faster than what I said my car would do. And that is simply to prevent people with a 12-second car to dialing in at a 14-second and then just blowing the doors off an actual 14-second car. So, in theory, if we get a perfect reaction time and run 16.34, we should win, hopefully.
That's your final call.
Daddy, one Lux? Alright.
I think I won. We won. That worked out well. Mostly because Pete, that was my friend Pete in the other lane, he broke out. He was dialed in at an 1111 and he ran an 1108. Originally this morning I was thinking I'd dial in at a 1640, but then we ran that 1637. So this last pass we ran a 1646, which is right in the numbers of what we were running yesterday. So for round 2, I'm going to change our dial in from a 1634 to a 1644.
Long-time racer, clear griddle by about 300ths of a second. Breaks out. Not going to advance performance and Bubba speed shot. Now I can worthy. We don't see all that often here. Actually, that will be for
that's it for us. I totally blew the shift in third gear, completely missed it, and it took me like 2 or 3 tries to actually get it in the third gear. So the other guy, he just drove right past us, but that's how racing works sometimes. So I guess we're out now.
Well, there's the old times drags put on by the Langley Loafers at Mission Raceway. Had a fantastic time. A little bit of monkeying around with this throttle linkage, but we used some quick ingenuity to figure that out and ended up making a pretty consistent car. Pretty consistent when I was shifting properly. Still a little bit bummed out about that, missing that third gear shift in the second round, but oh well, I mean, what can you do? That's racing. On the bright side, we did not break the car. Transmission is still in one piece. Rear end is still in one piece. So that's a win. We got to spend all weekend with a bunch of great friends. We had Terry Denemy from Canadian Hot Rod Magazines, my good friend Ryan Isherwood. They were pit next to us. Jim and Vanessa were hanging out with us all weekend. Obviously, Shannon and Lux, like that was Lux's first drag race. So that was pretty cool to bring him to that, even though he slept through most of it. Yeah, it was a fantastic time. Really, really good event. The Mission Raceway and the Langley Loafers, really, really well organized. So anyways, I really hope that you guys will go out and race your hot rods after watching this. It kind of bummed me out a little bit that whole event was supposed to be like it was based on old time drag racing, and there was front engine dragsters there, and there was a lot of really, really cool gassers there, and a ton of great hot rods, early hot rods, period correct hot rods, but they were all parked in the car show area, and I think they should have been on the racetrack with this car. It's always really kind of bugged me with hot rods how many people forget the purpose of a hot rod. And these cars, they were never designed to go to car shows and sit in show and shines or A&W parking lots. Like these are the original race cars. This is where drag racing came from. It evolved out of this. And land speed racing, although I have to say land speed racing still, like there's still Model A Roadsters out there racing it. Land speed racing has not forgot its hot rod roots. But I kind of think that drag racing has a little bit. So I highly encourage all you early hot rod enthusiasts with cars like this, get out there on a drag strip. It's happening right now in California. It seems like every month there's an awesome early hot rod inspired drag race event happening. But that doesn't have to just be a California thing. That can be anywhere. All you got to do is take your car to the drag strip and race it. Anyways, enough of that rambling. I don't know what the next endeavor on the Roadster is going to be. We got to fix this throttle linkage issue. I just got notification that the parts, I think, will be here on Thursday to fix it. The parts that I ordered last week to have it fixed for the weekend. But living in Canada, it takes a while for stuff to get here. Speaking of shipping and Canada and stuff, if you want to support this channel and get some LG Speed and Custom merch, I would be happy to ship it to you from Canada to wherever you live in the world. All you got to do is go to lgspeedcustom.com, scroll through the website, find something you like, and the computer will do the rest. It'll let me know, and I will mail it off to you. So check that out, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit notifications, all that. You guys all know that stuff, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.